The trenches are always excavated from the reduced level. Have I said it clearly? The trenches are always excavated from the reduced level. Okay? Do not excavate trenches from the ground level. Do not excavate trenches from the stripped level, but excavate trenches from the reduced level. We never excavate trenches from the ground level. So the whole site, by the time we have reduced the level, the whole site where the building will occupy together with the foundation spread is at the reduced level. From that level is where we excavate the foundation trenches. So the fourth step is excavating foundation trenches. Number one, we always award marks for the takeoff list, at least 2 marks for the takeoff list. All right, then why we come up with a takeoff list is so that we can be able to use it as a reference to know whether we have taken off and we have done takeoff for every element that we had stated we need to take off. Then how we come up with the takeoff list, the same order or procedure we do when we are building something. It's the same procedure or order we shall use when coming up with a takeoff list. We state all the elements that we need to measure. Then we come ticking one by one once we have measured them. Alright, for example, once we are doing taking off for substructure works, the first step we shall do when we get to site is site clearance. Alright, so when we are coming up with a takeoff list, we need to write that as the first item. The first item is site clearance. You see, once we get to site, we need to measure where we need to do the site clearance. First of all, we clear the site. Then we remove the vegetable soil. You see, once you clear the site, maybe there was vegetation, there was grass on the site, there were shrubs that were growing, there were undergrowths in the site. We had to cut down the trees, we had to demolish the buildings. Alright, if there was vegetation, we need to remove the vegetable soil. The vegetable soil is that soil that supports growth of vegetation. So every time we clear the site of vegetation, we need to remove the vegetable soil. And in like our drawing, we were told the vegetable soil was average 150 millimeters deep. So we shall maybe use an equipment. The one that sweeps away all the vegetable soil. Maybe you can tell me in the comment section. I forgot the name of the equipment. So we could use that equipment to come and sweep away all vegetable soil to a depth of 150 millimeters deep. Then the same area that we clear the site, we shall remove the vegetable soil. Then after removing the vegetable soil, we need to know whether that level that we have attained is good for construction. You see, in places where we have red soil is good for construction. Maybe even after the vegetable soil, the soil could be steady enough where we could lay the hard coal. You see, when we are taking off, maybe I could have not explained to you, there's something you need to understand very carefully. There are 3 levels that are there when we are measuring. For example, once you come to this, this one is the ground level. Once we get to site, that the level the site is at is called the ground level. That level is where is the level where vegetation grow. There were buildings that were existing, the trees were growing. That was the ground level. You have just got to a new site. That level you have found the site in is the ground level. The ground could be covered by vegetation, it could be covered by buildings. Now, after the ground level, once we remove we clear the site and we remove the vegetable soil, the level that we get to is the stripped level. Maybe you can say it with me. After the level that you find on site is called the ground level. The level that is found after removing the vegetable soil is called the stripped level. Then after stripping the ground level, after removing the vegetable soil, we get to the stripped level. If that level is not stable enough for us to lay our hardcore, we need to excavate further. You see, the formation level is the level where we lay our hardcore. Any level that we lay our hardcore, because the soil there is stable, is called the formation level. If after removing the vegetable soil, that in that level the soil is not stable enough, we need to excavate further. All right, we need to excavate further until we get to the reduced level. Okay, once we excavate further, that level we get to is called the reduced level, because we have reduced the level further, we have gone deeper. Now that reduced level that we get to, where the hardcore now can be laid and the soil is stable, that level is called the reduced level. So let me give you a recap of the levels. The ground level is the level that you find on the sides. Then we have the stripped level. The stripped level is the level that you attain once you remove the vegetable soil. You uncover. You see, stripping is uncovering. Okay, now you have uncovered the ground of all the soil that was covering it, the vegetable soil. Now we get to the stripped level. Then the stripped level could be the formation level in case the soil is stable enough where we can lay our hardcore. But if it's not stable enough, we should reduce it further. Whenever we go deeper, we are reducing the level. Okay, so you see we are reducing the level because at sea level, that is where the level is 0. Okay, so the deeper we go, the more we are reducing the level. So we shall reduce the level, and that reduced level could be now the formation level, because the formation level is where we lay the hardcore. So these are some of the terms that you shall come across when you are taking off. So we have cleared the site. Another good thing you should note is that when we are measuring things like site clearance, we are not measuring site clearance for the whole site. No, for the whole site is usually measured under preliminaries. You see, there are these things that we do prior to constructing in the site. We need, maybe the site was very bushy, it had so many buildings where we shall build the site huts, the toilets, but now all that area, anywhere that the building does not occupy, is measured under preliminaries. Preliminaries are things that are done prior. All right, there is some cost that is usually allocated in the bill of quantities. Once I'll be showing you the bill of quantities, you'll be able to see all these sections. And in the preliminaries, that is where the cost of clearing the site, the whole site, is at. But now, once we are taking off substructure works, we will only concentrate on where the building occupies. All right, we have the plan of the building, so we shall only concentrate where the building occupies. And where the building occupies, it is where we shall, you see, once we are setting out a building, there are things that we consider. We consider the walls of the building, but then we also consider the foundation spread. You see, there is, you say I don't like using new terms to new students, but as you continue to listen, you'll be able to understand. I make sure that I explain them to you. When we are constructing this building, when we are constructing these walls, and they are in the foundation, you see, in the foundation, they are inside the soil. We need to do trenches. Trenches are, the walls are usually constructed in a trench. A trench is a hole going round. In simple, I don't know whether it's understandable, but it is a hole going round everywhere the wall will be. So the wall will be positioned at the center of the trench. Now, when we are constructing this wall, we cannot just come and excavate only where the wall will be at. We will have to give some space. You see, this is if the trench, okay, if this is the wall, the substructure wall, then we need to do a trench. The trench usually is wider. Why is it wider? It is because we need, first of all, to lay this concrete, and this concrete occupies the whole trench. Then another reason is because once we are constructing this wall, we need somewhere for for the workers, the skilled and the unskilled workers to step in. You know, a trench is usually excavated from the ground, so it's a hole, and we are constructing these walls inside that hole. So we need some working space on this side of the wall and on this side of the wall. All right. So we usually excavate a trench which is like 675 millimeters wide. Though the wall is 225. This space that is called inside, you see the wall is constructed at the center of the trench. So this space that is outside the wall but inside the trench is called a foundation spread. This one is foundation spread on the outside, then this one is foundation spread on the inside. This is a foundation. You see, foundation is anything inside the ground. All right, below the ground level. You see, from here everything is below the ground level. The trench was 675 millimeters thick. All right, I am repeating it so that you can understand very clearly. The trench is 675 millimeters wide. All right, then we are constructing a wall 225 millimeters thick at the center of the trench. All right, so if we are constructing a wall 225 millimeters thick at the center of the trench, then the trench is 675. There is this space outside the wall but inside the trench. You see, a trench is a hole. Then the wall we are constructing inside that hole. So there is this space outside the wall and inside the wall. That space, we call it working space. Okay, and we can also call it the foundation spread. So how much is this foundation spread on the outside of the wall? We shall take 675, we deduct 225, then we divide by 2 because there are two sides. All right, so we could take 675, then we deduct 225, we get 450. So we shall take 450 divided by 2. We get 225. So it means from here up to here it's 225. This is the foundation spread on the outside, then this one is the foundation spread on the inside, 225. Right? Now once you see, this is the wall of the trench. I hope in that section you can be able to see where is the wall of the trench on the plan. You see, the wall is constructed at the center of the trench. So if we were to sketch the trench, we could say that the trench, the external wall of the trench could be symbolized by a broken line. It could be symbolized by a broken line with a distance of 225 from the wall. This is the external wall of the trench, because we said the trench is a hole, so it have an external wall and an internal wall. Okay, so the one that I've sketched is the external wall of the trench. Then the internal wall of the trench could be also a distance 225 from the internal of the wall. Now on the inside, so when we are setting out a building, we usually measure where the trenches will be. Then the walls will automatically be placed at the center. All right, so those broken lines can show you where the trench shall be. So the trenches shall be, there is an external wall of the trench and the internal wall of the trench. So when we are measuring site clearance, get this very clearly. This one you have to take it to the bank. When we are measuring site clearance, we usually measure the area of the external walls of the trench. Okay? When we are measuring site clearance, I repeat, we usually measure the area of the external walls of the trench. The external walls of the trench are usually the one symbolized by a broken line outside the wall of the house. All right, so how we measure the external walls of the trench, we shall take the external dimensions of the building plus the foundation spread both sides. You see, like this one, from here the external dimensions was 8,000 plus 4,000, which is 12,000. Now, so that we can get the external dimensions of this trench, we shall take 12,000 plus 225, then plus 225 for this side. Alright, so when we are measuring the external dimensions of the trench, we usually take the external dimensions of the buildings plus the foundation spread on both sides. That one you have to remember, and it's the simplest way you can remember that. When we are measuring the area of site clearance, we usually take the area of the external dimensions of the trench. Okay, so the external dimensions of the trench, we take the external dimensions of the building plus the two sides of the foundation spread. All right, so the same area that we do site clearance, the same area we shall remove the vegetable soil. You see, because once we shall have removed, we shall clear the site where we have the we shall follow the external wall of the trench. The same area we shall come and remove the vegetable soil. Alright, and the same area we shall reduce the level if we need to reduce the level. How do we know whether we need to reduce the level? Before we go to that, in the takeoff list, this is site clearance. The second one is the removal of the vegetable soil. Removal of vegetable soil. Now, we know we need to go to the third step, which is reducing the level. But do we know whether we need to reduce the level? You see, how do we know whether we need to reduce the level? Whether we need to reduce the level or not, we need to get it from the drawings. The drawings should guide us whether we need to reduce the level. How should we do that? Okay, come with me. In the drawings, you're told this is the ground level. Okay, and you can see that from the ground level, we have this hardcore. You see, this hardcore is 575. All right, so that you can be able to know how much is from here. You see, the ground level is from here up to here. We need to know how deep is it from here up to here. How do we get that? If we could get the depth from the top of the concrete to below the hardcore, then we deduct from the top of the concrete to the ground level, then we could find from the ground level to below the hardcore, right? Okay, so come with me, let us check. We shall take 575 plus 25, we get 095, 590. We add 150, we shall get 740. Is that true? No. Here we got 5 plus 5, 0, carry 1. So this one is 600. This one is 600. 600 plus 150, we get 750. Mathematics. Okay, so from here up to here is 750. We have got from the below the hardcore to the top of the concrete 750. Then we need to deduct the depth from the top of the concrete to the ground level, which is 250, right? So so it shall be 750 from here up to here. We deduct 250 so that we get from here up to here. So 750 minus 250, we get that from here up to here it's 500, right? So if from the ground level to the formation level is 500, and we had cleared the site 150 millimeters of vegetable soil. Okay, the ground level to formation level 500. Then we remove the vegetable soil at depth of 150. How much more do we need to reduce the level? Okay, so from the ground level, you see, from the ground level was here. Then we have the formation level here. This depth is 500. Then we already came and removed a layer of the vegetable soil. From the ground level, we removed a layer of the vegetable soil, which is 150. So what is this remaining from here up to here? We shall take 500 minus 150. So we shall take 500 minus 150, we shall get it 350. So we shall say that we already cleared the site, we removed 150 millimeters deep of vegetable soil, then we now need to reduce the level by 350 millimeters so that you can get to the reduced level. Am I clear? I hope I am clear. So 150 millimeters deep is the depth we shall remove the vegetable soil. Then we need to reduce the level by 350 millimeters deep. Alright, so in the take of list, we shall say we need to reduce the level. Alright, so after site clearance, the same area we shall remove the vegetable soil, then the same area we shall reduce the level. Now you see where we have the external wall of the trench, the outside broken line. All that area is the area that we are concentrating in, and in that area the ground level, the level at that area now, by this time after we have reduced the level, it's 500 deeper from the rest of the ground on site. Where the building will occupy together with the trench will be a bit lower by 500 millimeters from the ground level. Now, where shall we begin excavating the trenches? The trenches are always excavated from the reduced level. Have I said it clearly? The trenches are always excavated from the reduced level. Okay? Do not excavate trenches from the ground level. Do not excavate trenches from the stripped level, but excavate trenches from the reduced level. We never excavate trenches from the ground level. So the whole site, by the time we have reduced the level, the whole site where the building will occupy together with the foundation spread is at the reduced level. From that level is where we excavate the foundation trenches. So the fourth step is excavating foundation trenches. Excavate foundation trenches. Alright, foundation trenches are usually excavated from the reduced level. Alright, so to know the depth of excavation of the trenches, what shall we do? Alright, now from the ground level, you see the whole site is at this level. The whole site is at this level. This is the reduced level. Now we shall excavate the trenches from here to below the foundation. Below the foundation trenches. What is this depth from here to here? How do we calculate that? Of course, we can calculate that by taking the total depth. You see, if we take the total depth here up to below the blinding, we take 250 plus 2100 plus 225 plus 50. Then we deduct from the top here up to below the hard core. Then we can get the remainder from here up to below here. Okay, should we do it so that you can be able to see? Alright, so I need to rub. I need to rub so that you can be able to see it very nicely. So the depth from here up to the ground level, from the top of the concrete to the ground level is 250. From the ground level to the top of the concrete is 2100. Let's go adding 0, 5, 3, 2. Then from there, now we are here. From this concrete, thickness is 225. So it shall be 5, 7, 5, 2. So up to here it's 25.75. Then we add 50. 50 for the blinding, because you see we excavate to the bottom of the trenches, and at the bottom of the trenches, that's where we lay our blinding. So it shall be 5, 2, 6, 2, 26, 25. Alright, so the depth from below here to the ground is 26, 25. Now we need to know from below the hardcore to the trenches is how much. So it shall take 26, 25. Then we less, we need to do the total of these layers. So concrete was 150, maram was 25, and hardcore was 575. So it shall be 5 plus 5, 0, carry 1, 8, 10, 15, 750. So these layers amount to 750. Yes, we had added them here. So we shall take 26, 25, we deduct 750, and we shall get 5, 7, 5 minus 7, 15 minus 7, 8. 1875. All right, 1875. 1875 is the depth from the reduced level to the bottom of the trenches. Is it true? Okay, let us go through the calculation again. From the top of the concrete is 250 plus 2100 to the top of this one, then plus 225 plus 50. All right, yes, we get 2625. Then for the concrete it is 750. So the depth from this one shall be 2625 from the top to the bottom. Then you deduct from the top to the, so it shall be 1875. All right, so the total depth we shall need to excavate from the reduced level to the bottom of the trenches is 1875. When we are excavating trenches, according to our method of measurements that you're using today, the SMM, we usually excavate trenches in ranges, in stages of 1.5 meters deep. What do I mean? That when we are excavating the trenches, we usually excavate the first 1.5 meters deep is separate cost to the next 1.5 meters deep. Okay, so we shall excavate the first 1.5 meters deep separately, then the next 1.5 meters deep separately, then the next 1.5 meters deep separately. Why do we do that? It's because the cost of excavating near the ground level is cheaper. It's cheaper than the one when you're excavating in deep levels. Okay, the cost goes changing. So we should always calculate the volume of soil in the first 1.5 meters deep, then the next. We should separate these stages because the different stages have different costs. Because the deeper you go, the more expensive it becomes. And excavating the soil is usually costed per cubic meter. All right. So once we have a depth of 1875, we need to know how many stages shall we excavate this 1875. You see, the first stage, you will take 1500. So it shall remain with 375. So this one will be the first stage. This one will be the first stage. Then this one will be excavated in the second stage. Now, in the excavation of trenches, you should note that when we are writing them in the description column, we shall state that we are excavating for foundation trenches depth not exceeding 1.5 meters deep from the reduced level. From the reduced level, not exceeding 1.5 meters deep. Then the next stage, we shall excavate from 1.5 meters deep, not exceeding 3 meters deep. All right, so in the description column, you should always write from where you're commencing up to where. So commencing from the reduced level, not exceeding 1.5. Commencing from 1.5 meters deep, not exceeding 3 meters deep. Okay? Okay, yes, that is exactly what we should do. Then in the measurements, in the booking column, you should find the volume of the soil in the trenches. You see, volume normally is usually equals to length times width times height. Okay, height can be depth. Now in the trenches, how do we find the length of this trench? You multiply by the width of that trench, then you multiply by the depth of the trench. How do we find the length of the trench first of all? So this brings us to center line. We have been talking about center line in this channel. I have done almost 7 videos showing you how to calculate center line, and I've shown you the simplest way to calculate center line, and it is in our videos. Could you kindly remember how we calculate center line? Okay. I see you remember. Some of you do remember, some of you cannot remember, and some of you do not even know. Don't worry, you need to check out our video on center line. It will show you the simplest method on how you should calculate center line. But I will remind you the formula. The center line, of example, a trench is equals to the external perimeter of the trench. We deduct number of corners times the thickness of the trench. Let's go to center line of the wall. The center line of the wall is equals to the external perimeter of the wall. You deduct number of corners times the thickness of the wall. If it's the wall, it should be wall all through. Okay, let's go to a center line of concrete. Center line of concrete is equals to the external perimeter of the concrete. Then we deduct number of corners of the building multiplied by the thickness of the concrete. All right, so center line is what we shall use. For example, this is in excavating the trenches. So we have said the center line of the trench is equals to the external perimeter of the trench. We deduct number of corners times the thickness of the trench. We could be having sometimes internal corners like these ones and external corners like these ones. So how do we calculate number of corners? Number of corners is equals to external corners minus number of internal corners. Let me say that again. Number of corners, we get it by taking number of external corners minus number of internal corners. For example, in this building, how many external corners do we have? Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 external corners. How many internal corners do we have? We have 1, 2, 3. So how many corners do we have in this building? We have 7 external corners minus 3 internal corners. So we have 4 corners in this building. So how do we calculate the center line of the trench? The center line of the trench is the external perimeter of the trench. We deduct number of corners times the width. I have said that to get the volume of soil in the trenches, we need to take the center line of the trench times the width of the trench. The width of the trench is 675. Then we shall multiply by the depth of the trench. All right, so I hope we are at par when it comes to excavating the trenches. The next thing that we need to do after excavating the trenches, you know, after excavating the trenches, there could be water in the trenches. You see, there could be places where there could be water in the trenches, or the soil could be black cotton soil or another type of soil that needs support of the trenches. You know, soil collapses. You know that, eh? So the deeper we have excavated, if we have excavated deep, we may need to support the walls of the trenches depending on the type of soil. If you're not told whether to measure the support of the trenches, you can just write an item. Okay, I don't want to tell you to write an item. I want to explain to you what is an item first. Item, you shall find it in our takeoffs, and item is usually there to symbolize that whatever we are supposed to measure cannot be measured accurately from the drawing. So a provisional sum will be given in a bill of quantity. A provisional means it's a sum of money that may change. Okay, so a provisional sum will be given to all items in the takeoff when we come to transferring to the bill of quantity, so that that money is allocated temporarily. Provisional is in the meantime before we go to know the extent amount of work. You see, a bill of quantity is that document that tells us the cost of the building before we get to site. And tenders and contracts are entered into using the bill of quantity. So everything has to have a cost implication in the bill of quantities, whether we can measure it accurately or not. So though that sum of money that we usually give in the bill of quantities for works that the full extent cannot be measured from the drawings is called a provisional sum. The full extent of the work shall be known in the site, all right? But now we need to allocate some money just in case we shall do the watering, just in case we shall support the walls of the foundation trenches. So the next item, or so in the taking off, we usually write items. The two items that we shall measure is the watering dewatering, removing the water from the trenches, and also planking, and strutting. Planking and strutting is the support to foundation trenches. These two items, we shall write item. You shall see I have done a full takeoff of this one on the book. So once I have introduced this takeoff, kindly check out our next video. I have done it detailed takeoff from the beginning to the end, measuring and booking all those dimensions in the takeoff sheet. So this is the introduction video, but by the time you will be going through it, you shall see items. Where instead of doing the areas, the volumes, or the linear meters or the numbers, we shall write item in the dimension column. And this one symbolizes the works that cannot be measured accurately from the drawings, like dewatering the trenches and planking and strutting. Once we have removed the water and we have supported the foundation trenches, if need be, we should now go to the concrete. All right, the foundation concrete. The foundation concrete should be the next item. The foundation concrete. The foundation concrete, you see, in the foundation we have the concrete. We have this concrete here, and we have the blinding. All right, then we have the reinforcements. So all these three items we need to take off. So in the foundation concrete, we need to take off the blinding first, then we need to take off the concrete, then we need to take off the reinforcements. Okay, so what shall we be taking off in the blinding? If you look at the method of measurement, how should we take off the blinding? The blinding is usually measured in area. So we shall measure the area of the blinding. Remember, this brings us back to the center line. How do we calculate the area of the concrete in the foundation? All this area where we have the trenches, we shall have the concrete, the blinding, the 50 millimeters blinding. We want the area. When we were calculating the volume, we took center line times the width times the depth. Now we want the area. What do you think we should do? Of course, we should take the center line times the width of the trench. So we shall take the center line of the concrete, which is the same as the center line of the trench, because the concrete occupies the full width of the trench. So the center line of the concrete times the width of the concrete, we shall get the area of the blinding. Alright, because the blinding is 50 millimeters thick. Because it's a thin layer, we usually calculate the area. Then we go to the concrete. The concrete is 225 millimeters wide. Alright, so for the concrete, we usually calculate the volume of the concrete. How do we calculate the volume of the concrete? The volume of the concrete will be equals to the center line of the concrete times the width of the concrete times the thickness of the concrete. How do we calculate the center line of the concrete? The center line of the concrete is equals to the external perimeter of the concrete. We deduct number of corners times the thickness of the concrete. How do we calculate number of corners? The number of corners will be equals to a number of external corners minus number of internal corners. Very good. You have understood that. So in the concrete, we shall take the center line of the concrete times the width of the concrete, which is 675, times the thickness of the concrete, which is 225, right? Then we shall go to the reinforcements. The reinforcements, you see, we have these reinforcements and they are going everywhere around the trench. We have these reinforcements. They are aligned like this. Then we have other reinforcements, the ones that you can see the dots. They are lined up like this. So how many are lined up across along the trench? You see there are those that are lined up along the trench. We can only calculate the dots. We count 1, 2, 3, 4. So those four reinforcements, they are going along the trench everywhere. Then we have other reinforcements that have bends crossing over all of them. So how do we calculate? First of all, the length of one reinforcement bar, that is coming across the trench. They cross the trench. The length of this one reinforcement bar, we could take 675, which is the width of the concrete. Then the reinforcement bar do not go from end to end. We always leave a concrete cover between the reinforcement and the concrete. So if we had a cover of 25 here, you see the cover is this space between the reinforcement bar and the concrete. If we leave a cover of 25, and here 25. What will be the length from here up to here? It will be 675 minus 25 minus 25. And 675 minus 50 is 625. Then we shall add these bends. We shall add the bends. Alright? So, so that we can add the bends, we could say, say the bends are 50 millimeters, because we have not been told. We could say the bends are 50 millimeters. So we shall take 675 minus 50 plus 50 plus 50. Alright, that will be the length of one reinforcement bar. How many reinforcement bars? To calculate the number of reinforcement bars, we shall take the total center line, because they are distributed along the center line. We divide by the spacing of the bars, and we are told the spacing of the bars. You see, I did not write it here, but this one was labeled maybe the 12 bars at 200 millimeters center to center. So they are the 12 bars. They are placed at 200 millimeters center to center along the center line. So we shall take the total center line divided by 200 plus 1 to get the number of the reinforcement bars. So we shall take center line divided by 200 plus 1. That is, we shall get the number of those reinforcement bars across the trenches. Then the length of one bar shall be, you take the bend plus this length plus the bend. Alright, once we multiply the number times the length of one bar, we shall get the total length of the 12 bars that are across the trenches. For the ones along the trenches, we shall take the total center line, it is the length of one bar, then we shall multiply by 4 bars. You see, the ones that are going across the trench, they are 4 bars. So you shall take 4 times the length of the center line. So 4 times the center line, we shall get the length of the bars that are going along the trenches. And that one is an introduction to taking off this one for the reinforcement. If you check out the next video that I have done on the screen, showing you how you measure detail by detail, the same diagram that I've done here, you will be done, you will have understood everything. You'll be so good with takeoff. So kindly check out for that video that I'll upload after this one. You see, this one I have done it so that I can introduce you in detail. You can see it as I point for you on the board so that you can understand. Once you have covered this, go and do that one for takeoff. Then just focus on the drawings, do it yourself, mark for it using that video, and that is how you learn. By the time you are done with these videos, you'll be so good with doing all the BQs that you need to, because taking off is something that is so easy, so interesting. Quantity surveying is something, it's a sweet subject. It is something that you enjoy doing, right? I know you can bear me witness. The moment you just concentrate and you just decide that you want to understand these things, and you decide that your passion is here, you'll just find yourself flowing and enjoying the quantity surveying field. Okay, all right. So we are done with the foundation concrete. Now we are here. We are already done with the foundation trenches. Now we want to know what is the area, the foundation walling. So the seventh, in the takeoff list, after the foundation concrete, the next item we shall go to is the foundation walling. How do we take off the foundation walling? The foundation walling is 225 millimeters thick. Then when we are taking off the foundation walling, we need to find the area of the wall. How do we find the area of a wall? The center line of the wall times the depth of the wall. How deep is the wall? The depth of the wall is from the top of the concrete to below the concrete here. So if we want to find the depth of the wall, simply it's taking 2100 plus 250 deduct concrete, because it starts from here up to here. You see that wall goes even above the ground level. Alright, so you shall take 2100 plus 250, then we deduct 150, shall give us 2200. That is the length of the height of the wall. So the area of the wall shall be the center line of the wall, which is the center line of the trench times the height of the wall. Very good. So we are done with the foundation walling. So the next thing we shall go is hardcore. You see, hardcore. You see, when we are taking off hardcore, the thing that you're supposed to note very keenly. I have paused there. Hardcore cannot be placed on top of the walls. Please get that clearly. Students, I have seen students take off hardcore on top of walls. We cannot place hardcore on top of a masonry wall. What will be the hardcore for? Hardcore is only placed on the soil. Alright? Because we want to make the soil stable enough to receive the concrete. So hardcore, whenever we are taking off hardcore, we always take the internal dimensions. You remember that in this video I have not considered the voids. The voids is a whole other video. I will do another video showing you how we should deduct these voids. First of all, I'll take you through this process. Then I'll do a video for the voids. Then we'll go to the taking off itself. Okay. Now, the hardcore, we usually take the internal dimensions of the building. Hardcore is laid inside the walls. So in a case like this one, if this wall, the external dimensions was 8,000 plus 4,000 plus 5,000, giving us 17,000. 17,000 cannot be the length of the hardcore. The hardcore, we have to deduct the walls. You see? We need to deduct the walls because the hardcore is laid inside the walls. So the key to note, whenever we are laying hardcore, and okay, maram blinding is also done on the hardcore, and what else? The hardcore and the maram blinding is usually measured inside the walls, the internal dimensions. It's laid inside the walls, I repeat. So whenever we are finding the areas, okay, hardcore is usually, if it's thick layer like 575, if you look at the SMM, we measure it in volume. So if you want the volume, you'll take the length times the width times the depth of the hardcore, which is 575. Okay, then the difference between taking off hardcore and maram blinding is that hardcore is measured in volume, but maram blinding is measured in area. All right, so for the maram blinding, we will take the internal length times the internal width, but it is only the area. So this one is measured in meters squared, but this one is measured in meters cubed. That is the difference. But it is the same area that hardcore occupies, is the same area that maram blinding occupies. Alright? So, hardcore is measured in meters cubed. Maram is measured in meters squared. Alright? Then, after that, we shall go to the next item, which is the anti-termite treatment. Anti-termite treatment. How do we measure the anti-termite treatment? The anti-termite treatment is always measured the same area that maram blinding occupies. Then after the anti-termite treatment, we shall go to the DPM, damp proof membrane. The DPM is usually laid even on top of the walls. Okay, the DPM goes even where the wall is. The DPM is, we take the external dimensions. So we shall take the external length, the external width of the drawing. So DPM, we usually take the external dimensions. So for all this, we usually take the internal dimensions. Then for the DPM, together with the concrete, you see we have the concrete, then we have the BRC inside the concrete. All these, we usually take the external dimensions. Alright, so these ones we shall take the external length, the external width. Alright, then we are done with the DPM, the concrete, and the BRC. Alright, okay, so for the DPM, we shall find the area. The concrete, the oversight concrete is the area using the external dimension. The BRC is the area using the external dimension. Because if you see, the BRC goes even to the top of the wall. And the drawing will show you very clearly what is inside the wall and what is not inside the wall, what is above the wall. All right? Yes. So after we are done with, you see, in concrete, we need to take off the formwork for the concrete. You see, around the foundation, after we have done the foundation walling, before we do the concreting, we usually do formwork around the foundation on the external wall so that it can support the concrete. The concrete cannot pour outside. So the formwork is usually measured in linear meters. And the formwork, we usually find the perimeter of the external of the wall. The external perimeter of the building is the length of the formwork. I hope that is clear. I'm just saying points. Not every point that I say very keenly. The length of the formwork for the concrete that supports the overset concrete, we shall just need to calculate the external perimeter of the wall. Okay, because the formwork is placed on the external perimeter of the wall. Then the last thing we shall do is adjustments for the soil adjustments. So for the soil adjustments, there is soil that we excavated. We excavated when we were reducing the level. There is soil that we excavated when we excavated the trenches. There is soil that we shall use to backfill, and there is soil that we shall take away from the site. I have done a whole video on soil adjustment, taking off earthworks. Kindly, the video, I shall link it in the description box. Go and watch that video. It explains to you the whole process of how you adjust this video. There's soil called refill and ram. There's soil called cut away. There's soil used for backfill. I will not explain it in this video. Kindly check out for that video so that you can understand in detail. We have done the introduction part for taking off substructure works. I know I have not covered the voids. I will do another video for the voids to show you how you deduct the voids. Then you will look at exactly these drawings. I have taken them off and I have done a good video for you guys, so kindly check it out. So thanks a lot for watching our introduction part. Just in case you have any questions that you would want me to cover, maybe you have not understood and you're wondering somehow you have not understood, kindly write it in the comment section. I'll be going through all your comments and I'll be able to answer them. We are sorry for those ones that we have not answered in the past. We have been very busy, but now we are creating time for you guys because you're already subscribing, right? So continue to subscribe to our channel. Kindly share our content with your classmates so that they can know about our channel. Let them come on board, because here we want just to help you students understand this concept in the simplest way possible. I know most of you have really improved, and you have told me in the comment section how much our videos have been our blessing to you, so you have been able to understand. So we are here to assist you guys. Kindly share our content, like our videos. If you have liked these videos, just give them a thumbs up so that other people can be able to see them. And once you do that, for sure we shall continue to make good videos for you, and your education will be much easier and you'll enjoy the quantity surveying field. This quantity surveying field, as I always say, is the sweetest field to be in. If you build your passion here, mathematics becomes so sweet, and measuring becomes something that you're addicted to. You just love it. All right, so I hope this attitude still gets to you, that measurements is something that we just enjoy in this channel. And even as we grow together, let me know what you want us to cover next. I will be doing classes like this on the board, maybe, because for the PowerPoint most of you are not able to and follow them well. I'll be able to do them on the board, and sometimes for those examples that we need to take off, I'll do them on the screen so that you can be able to follow through how it should be written in the dimension paper. So thank you so much guys. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. I look forward to reading your comments, and I look forward to see you ask questions, because this is all we are about. So thank you so much and have a very good day.